Do you have anybody in your family this year that's just really hard to shop for? Just not exactly sure what you're going to get them this year? They're always hard, or maybe this is the first year. Those people that have everything. Well, I want to read a story to you that actually was in the Arkansas Democrat newspaper. And this is what one gentleman wrote. Women are very touchy about certain gifts, as I discovered years ago after buying my girlfriend a catcher's mitt for her birthday. It seemed to me to be a particularly thoughtful gift, especially since she claimed not to be getting enough physical exercise. But apparently she didn't see it that way. The minute she unwrapped it, she ran sobbing from the room. At first I thought those were tears of joy streaming down her face. I figured she was overwhelmed at being the first in her crowd to have a catcher's mitt. That sort of thing. Or I figured that she was so excited she couldn't wait to get outside and work on her throws to second base. But when she didn't return after a few hours, I got the hint. Here I'd spent all that time running around from one sporting goods store to the next, trying to find the perfect gift. I mean, we're talking about Johnny Bench model here, top of the line. And she calls me insensitive. I mean, you'd think that I gave her a year's subscription to Field and Stream, or a box of shotgun shells, which everybody knows should be saved for Christmas stocking stuffers. Personally, I think she just had a lot of anger in her and took it out on me. Not that I'm trying to play amateur psychologist or anything. That is an article that was actually in the newspaper. When I read it, I thought, oh, I've got to share this with y'all. You know, sometimes people are really hard to buy for. They're really hard to get just the right present. But did you ever think about God getting just the right present for you and me? You see, that's what we celebrate on Christmas, was just the right present that you and I needed so badly. As we talk about this message today, I want to lift up three different points. The first is that God's love is to us. God's love to us. The announcement to Mary by the angel Gabriel that God was with her, that she was highly favored. God gave us the best gift of all. He gave us himself. A personal relationship with the God of the universe. There's a study that was done by the UNICEF organization, and they found that youth feel secure and happy if they have close-knit families. If they eat and they play together as a family, they feel secure and happy. Has nothing to do with how much stuff they have. As sometimes Christmas turns into giving more stuff. Like Mary, you and I are highly favored by God. I love Max Lucado. He is a great writer. And in one of his books, he said this: if God had a refrigerator, your picture would be on it. If God had a wallet, your photo would be in it. God is crazy about you. God could have lived anywhere, and yet he chose to live in your heart. That's what Christmas is all about. God's love to us, and then secondly, God's love in us, as God lives within us. Mary is the perfect picture of this whole idea of God's love, of that baby Jesus growing in Mary. And over those 9 months, that special bond that took place between mother and child. And when the Holy Spirit comes and lives within us, as is the promise of Jesus for each and every one of us, then that spiritual change begins in us, just like the physical change began in Mary. You know, for us, though, the change starts at the manger. For Mary, she gave birth at the manger. But for us, we continue with the Holy Spirit all of our lives within us. It's not enough that we coo at that baby in the manger every year and then walk away and forget about it. There was a young couple that decided one year to splurge on a Christmas tree. And they found just the perfect tree for their little apartment. It was full at the bottom. It came up just full of wonderful branches. At the top there was that little peak. And they knew that this was just the right tree for them. And so they paid their $25, put the tree on top of their car, and drove home. Well, they put it up in the corner after moving the couch a little bit, put it in that nice little kind of not real sturdy metal thing that you hold, trees in. And they stood back, and just as they did, the tree fell over and totally wrecked the stand. So they went out and got another heavy-duty stand and put the tree back in it. And again, the tree fell over. Just would not stay up. So the young man finally got it and began looking inside through the branches and found that when it started at the bottom, it was perfectly straight. But then somewhere it began to twist and turn. At the top, it came out straight again, but in between the bottom and the top, it was helplessly twisted up. There was no way that they were going to get that tree to stand on its own. And I think that tree is a lot like us. In our life, we may start off wonderfully straight. We may end our life wonderfully straight, but in the meantime, in our life, there are hurts and pains, disappointments, anger, bitterness that twists us all up on the inside. But when the Holy Spirit comes to live within us, as is the promise of the manger, over time the Holy Spirit gently takes away those things that have twisted our lives and straightens us up. Jesus grew in Mary, and the Holy Spirit grows in us. The third point that I want to bring to you is that God's love is through us. God's love to us, God's love in us, and now God's love through us. Again, let's consider Mary. Mary was a young lady, a teenager, had very little in this world other than a husband-to-be, a man by the name of Joseph, who was going to take her to be his wife. But it was through Mary that the whole world has been blessed. It is through Mary that God came and lived among us. The Emmanuel. That's a nice church term, isn't it? God with us. It was because of Mary and God coming through her that we have been blessed.